There we go. We're live.
We are alive.
We are live. All right. So do you want to jump right into the show, or do you want to chat a bit first?
Whatever. Dealer's choice, my friend.
Dealer's choice. All right. Let's hop right into the show, and then I'm going to stick around afterwards and just chat with the people, do like an open mic, and you're welcome to stay, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Turn that down. Get all the buttons.
Coffee.
I got to get all the buttons where they're supposed to be.
Yes. My first episode back from when I was on my cruise, I left Steven muted for like 5 minutes when I did the show. So that was great.
I caught the very, very beginning of that, so I saw that. Well, okay. I saw the aftermath because I saw you guys starting over, and I laughed. I didn't say anything because I was busy doing stuff, but I laughed.
Typical when you're out of practice.
Buy a ColecoVision and a Coleco game cartridge by November 15th. We'll send you a free Cabbage
Go
Patch
XLR,
Kid
please
for
fix
Christmas.
that thing. All right, everybody, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to StadiaCast. It is your place for all things Stadia. I hit the wrong button again. It's your place for all things Stadia. And if you don't recognize the guy sitting to my left or my right, I don't know where he's sitting because everything's mirrored. That's Lloyd. He is my co-host who has been AFK 2 Sundays in a row, and there was nothing that could be done about it. But he's back. Welcome back, Lloyd.
Thanks, Bill. It is so good to be back. We were chatting. We were chatting a while ago. I can't remember when it was. Probably when I got back, and I was gone for 11 days, and this is the longest I'd been away from the internet since the internet was a thing. Like I was on a boat. I went on a family cruise with my family, and that's why I wasn't really chatting about it because I don't like broadcasting those things online. And we did a Southern Caribbean cruise, and we were gone for 11 days. And when you're in the middle of the ocean, internet sucks. I don't know if you know that, Bill. It's not very good. They don't run a wire behind the boat, and you drag it behind you. So it was interesting. I had internet, but it was so bad. So I basically didn't get any news. Like I would open it, look for work stuff, look to see if anything blew up in my neighborhood, and then I would just do the family things. So this is it's so weird. There's so much stuff to catch up on. It's been absolutely bizarre.
And you ran into an issue where you were recording Nintendo Pulse, and you
yeah
you can tell everybody about that because it's funny. And guys, go listen to Nintendo Pulse. It's his Nintendo show.
I like you have a big control room in front of me. I have buttons everywhere. I have multiple stream decks. I have keyboards. I have a Go XLR mixer. I have all this fun stuff. And I started the show for about 5 minutes, and my co-host was muted because I didn't hit this little mute button beside me, because you forget these things when you've been unplugged from the internet for as long as I had been.
Well, he's back now, and we're going to talk about Stadia. But before we do, just so everybody knows who's listening to this on the audio show, by the way, YouTube people, we do have this as an audio show as well. So if you ever can't make it to the live show or watch the video, you can listen to it after the fact by going to anchor.fm/StadiaCast. But if you are already listening to the audio show, we record this live Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. over on YouTube at youtube.com/StadiaCast. And if you want to directly support StadiaCast, and you're here with us live, you can use the super chat feature to support us and to make sure that we see your message. And now, starting today, you can also now become a member of the channel by clicking on the join button below. And I want to thank the people who've already shown up and used the super chat feature, as well as joined to become members. We have Joel Thompson started us off. This was at 11 p.m. last night. As soon as I posted this, they did that, which is awesome. So Joel Thompson said, not sure if I can make it live. Welcome back, Lloyd. And then he was our very first member as well. Fabian Winkler became a member. Thank you very much. Spud became a member. Andriy Stinikov became a superhero. If you don't know what that is, there's different tiers to being members. And then we've got a super chat from Dirk. And they said hello from Germany. Brendan Clark says 2 days left. They're very excited. So am I. Matt says, welcome back, Lloyd. Looking forward to Tuesday. Jealous you're planning to stream while I have a few hours left of work. Jack says, episode 32, The Return of Lloyd. That's a good name for it. I should have called it that. And then Jack just became a member as well. So thank you guys all. Did I say it wrong, Andriy? Sitnikov. Okay, my bad. But anyway, thank you very much for all of your support. We've got a lot to talk about because just the other day, I got to sit down with John Justice for a second interview. And Lloyd, did you got a chance to watch it live because I ended up posting it as a premiere here on YouTube after the fact. What did you think about what John was saying?
I thought it was great. I think the interview itself, there was a lot more clear information coming from his side, because I guess when you have a big whiteboard in front of you and the sky's the limit for what you could be working on, when that's gone and you have a very focused, concise, this is what we're doing on day one, that messaging can be a little bit better. So John was great as always. Your questions were fantastic as always. The community coming in and being here live when all this was happening was fantastic as always, and it was just great to kind of jump in with both feet and get back into kind of the Stadia news stream.
Was there anything about the anything that John said that stood out to you as a surprise?
Yeah, the whole streaming thing was really surprising, because I remember, like, early on we chatted about this based on a slide at one of the Google development conferences, I believe it was. I could be wrong where that information came from, but
it was the announcement, the very first announcement, when they had somebody up on like a big stage in front of people. Yeah,
right. Yeah, and they were talking that when you're playing a game, your stream is coming towards you, and you that's how you're watching the game. It's being streamed to you, but you could just hit a button and then other people can watch that same stream. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but I've always from then assumed that would be a feature of Stadia. Turns out not at launch, at least. Maybe in the future that'll be something that is there. So there was some clarifications of things that us and the community just assumed would be features that aren't going to be features at launch. Maybe they'll come down the road. That was pretty interesting. Also, the YouTube music stuff, saying, do you want that as a feature? It's like, how is that not on the whiteboard already? that you have all this music there. Google, use the stuff you have. So yeah, it was really interesting just to see that we're so close to launch, that there's still things that haven't really been talked about, and that's kind of what happens when you're dealing with a company that is as agile as Google, where they do code sprints and they get the features in, and then they hammer it, make sure it's solid, and then they plan for what they're doing next. It's going to be interesting to see how all these features come over the next couple weeks, months, and year for Google Stadia.
Okay, so I definitely want to talk about the streaming thing, but first I want to talk about what you just said about the music, when John was like, oh, is that something that you're interested in? Tell me more. I think he's being coy.
I think so.
I think this is something that they're working on and they're not ready to announce. So it's easy for him to say, oh, is music something that you're interested in? Perhaps we'll put that on the whiteboard. Would you like that on the whiteboard? And that gives him a chance to say, hey, look at us listening to the community. And I don't think he's being a jerk about it at all, but
no,
it gives them a chance to say, look, see, we're listening to the community, even though we probably already had it planned. And it gives us time to implement it. Oh, we didn't even think about it until Bill mentioned it. So, we can bring it in down the road. Although that's nonsense. I'm sure that all of the brilliant people that they have working at Google, I'm sure that somebody has said, hey, is there a way for us to do this? And they probably said yes, but his talking point that he kept going back to is, for Stadia, we have to attack this in a certain way. And the way to do that is to the first thing that we have to do is bring the games to the biggest and best screen that you have. And I promise we will get to all of these super chats and members as soon as we can, because you guys are insane. Thank you. But we want to get it to the biggest and best screen that you have in your house, and everything else after that is gravy. We're going to work on that other stuff afterwards. And I can understand that. What I feel like they should have done is not told us nearly as much so early on. And I'm always somebody who says, hey, you got to be as transparent as you possibly can.
Right.
But I think that and we've kind of been railing against Google for not being transparent enough. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think that maybe they were too transparent early on, and then they pulled the window blinds down afterwards. And I think that was a mistake. They should either have left the window up the whole time, or just left it cracked at the very beginning so that we could just get a glimpse. Hey, we're making this thing that lets you stream games to your TV and not talk about anything else after that. And I think that they would have been better off. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they were fairly transparent at the start. Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't something that they intended to be. It was just they're used to talking to developers, and when you're working on a new OS, it's like, here are all the features, and this is all the stuff we have planned, blah blah blah. And the developers take that and they work with it and go with it. Well, consumers aren't developers. They see all these features and they're like, yeah, I want it at launch. When is it coming? Is it there on day one? And it's like, whoa. No, that's on day 6 months from now, not on launch. So maybe it's just a change in the way that they do messaging a little bit.
You know, you said something, oh gosh, where was it? You said something that reminded me of something that a listener had sent in, or a viewer had sent in on one of our YouTube videos, which I had highlighted. And it was Nick Zello. And he said, people need to understand that for once, they are playing it pretty smart. If they give us minimal features, they can fix any glitches quickly. If they release all of the features instantly and have glitches on all of the features, bye-bye Stadia. People will run their service into the ground before base launch. They're already trying to call it another dropped Google product. There might even be too much on John's mind to even give you the answer you want to hear because of the confusion and stress. I've been a YouTube TV subscriber since the beginning, and it has come a long way. Anytime there's been a glitch, I've received a free week of service, even if I didn't personally experience it. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Quit complaining until you actually have something to complain about. And I mostly agree with that. A lot of people are jumping all over Google, and they haven't tried it yet. And that's the thing. And everybody who seems to have tried it, everybody who has tried it seems to say it's pretty damn good. And in 2 days, we're going to get to try it as well. Well, hopefully, if we get our codes. Because I already posted a stream notification on YouTube that I'm going to be streaming at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern on Tuesday. And I'm going to be playing Destiny 2. At least that's what I said that I'm going to do. But if I don't receive my code by that time, then I obviously won't be. I'll just switch it over to be an open mic stream instead. But that's something to think about. Now, speaking of streaming, I want to talk about this streaming thing because I went back and I watched, oh my God, more super chats and members. You guys are amazing. I went back and I watched the announcement video. I didn't watch the whole thing because it was pretty long, but the thing at GDC where they were up on stage and they had the giant white screen behind them, and they had like the cloud, and then they had a little line that went over and connected to you. And then they had another line that went over and connected to YouTube. And the thing that they said was that while we're sending the data to you, we're also sending the data to YouTube. They did not say to your audience at YouTube. And I think that's where everybody, myself included, misunderstood. And we all assumed that meant that we could hit a button and live stream straight to straight to YouTube, like gaming.youtube.com. And I guess that's not the case. And this really surprises me, because that was one of the reasons that I was so excited for Stadia, not so much for myself, but because it was basically the democratization of streaming. They were taking away all of the extra stuff that you have to know and know how to do to stream, and getting rid of all of that so I could just hit a button. And I think that this, out of everything that has disappointed people, for me, this is the biggest disappointment in Stadia, is the fact that we're not going to be able to hit live stream and just stream to people when we are playing a game and have our microphone hooked up. And that really shocked me when he said that. And I didn't want to focus on that, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who don't care about that feature.
Right.
People who care about that feature are a small subset of the people who decided to invest in Stadia. So I didn't want to focus on that too much, and I ended up just moving on from it. But it's just been, tickling at the back of my brain over and over again. I can't believe that they let us think that for so long without clearing that up. Well, your thoughts on that at all, Lloyd?
Yeah, like it was said, it just scrolled past in chat, because right after they talked about that, they went right into all the streaming features that are going to be there. So when they unveiled that idea that it's going to YouTube, they also then started talking about, oh yeah, if you're on a YouTube video, you get a come play with me button, or if you're on Twitch, you get this thing. And it was all kind of grouped together, maybe not directly together, but it was all grouped together. So it was easy to make that mental leap to say, oh, okay, everything's going to YouTube. People can watch my stream. People can watch me play. Because I remember at one show, we both said, oh, I hope I can turn that off, because sometimes I want to play games and I don't want anybody watching me. I just want to play my own game. So yeah, like that was early on in kind of the Stadia news cycle. So it was interesting to get clarification on that.
It was. I'm still very disappointed. All right. So that's anything else from the interview that jumped out at you as something that you want to discuss before we move on to the competition?
Sure. It was also, as good as they've become with disseminating information and getting the right message out there. Just prior to your interview, they released the launch game titles, and it's like, here's 12 games. You'll be able to play these at launch, blah, blah, blah. And then during the interview, it's like, well, it's not only those 12. It's like, oh my God, please get on the same page. Because yeah, that was a huge story on the internet. It's like, well, look at Stadia. They have 12 games and they're all old. Look at Project xCloud. They have 50 games and it's some of the newer ones. So it was just more fuel for the people that love posting videos and articles about how Stadia is doomed, without really giving them the chance to be anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. It kind of that also shocked me that he was like, well, actually, there'll be other games that you'll be able to play at launch. We just don't know when they're going to pass QC. And I was like, why haven't you told anybody that? Why is that breaking here on my show? Thank you. But why is that breaking here on my show? That should be something that you should have told everybody. You should be screaming it from the rooftops. Right. I think that they're afraid that they're going to promise something, and then something that is outside of their control is going to happen, and they will have to delay something. And if that happens, then everybody jumps on them. But for them to announce that there's only 12 games when there's more than 12 games is really crazy. Anyway, you brought up xCloud tangentially, so we might as well jump into this. There's many places out there that Xbox just had. What was the name of the event that they just had?
XO19.
XO19. Okay. So Xbox just had XO19, and I watched part of it. I couldn't watch the whole thing because I was busy working on something else. I can't even remember what the hell I was working on now, but they were showing off some games, and there were some games that stood out to me as, oh, that looks really cool, and I definitely want to try that. And then they were talking about xCloud and how it is going to have 50 games. And a lot of people, or a lot of outlets, are saying, is this the death nail for Stadia, the nail in the coffin for Stadia, because because this has 50 games and Stadia has 12 games that are old games. I think that by the time xCloud comes out, Stadia will have more than 12 games. I mean, we have, look, it comes out on the 19th, and that means that there's less than a month and a half left before the end of the year. And there's 14 more games that are coming out by the end of the year. In fact, if you go to stadia.com and you look at the games, in fact, I should do that right now. If you go to stadia.com and you look at the games that they have, there's a bunch of games that they did not announce that would be coming out in 2019. So these are games that are obviously planned for Stadia and are going to be coming out later on this year. And I mean, if I'm looking at it, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the top, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5 rows. So that's almost 50 right there. Yeah. And everybody's treating Stadia like it only has 12 games because it's launching with 12 games. But right. I don't think that that's quite the fair comparison. How do you feel about this, Lloyd?
They might as well just say, well, Project xCloud is free. Is that the death knell for Google Stadia? When in reality, this is just a trial. It's not free. The games that they're playing are Xbox One games because Project xCloud runs on modified Xbox One hardware, at least initially. Who knows what's going to happen in the future. Project xCloud is going to be a great service. The ability for me to put a game in my Xbox that's right beside me and then go to a friend's house or go to work or and be on my lunch or go on a trip and play that game from my own Xbox is really cool. But I've already done that with my PlayStation 4. Like that was something that you could do for a long time. I would do it on my Vita. The whole 50 games thing, I mean, whatever. It's a product that's been around for a while. They have a lot of games. It's easy to get that stuff working, where Stadia is a whole new service. It's not like they're taking a platform that already exists and just putting it on the web. It's a whole new platform. So I think you're comparing, they're comparing apples and oranges a little bit. But it also is a good argument for the consumer. They're going to see these two products. They're going to be like, well, I can sign up for free right now for the beta on my Android phone for Xbox, and I get to play 50 games that I don't own. Stadia is going to cost me X number of dollars, and I can only do it on here, or I have to buy this other package. It's making a good argument for the consumer as to which one they should pick. But we got to understand that Stadia really isn't out till next year anyway. So this is just this is a paid beta that all of us founders are going to be in. So yeah, I've answered it in like 7 different ways. I'm yammering a little bit because I haven't done a show for a while. Yeah, I mean it is what it is. Stadia is going to be what Stadia is going to be. Stadia is going to be out next year. We're going to have the beta, the paid beta until then, and xCloud has the ability of being around for much longer because Xbox One has been around for much longer. So all those games that were on one can just easily be moved over.
Yeah, for those of you who are watching the live stream, we're running into some serious lag right now. I'm not sure what's happening. We're just going to power through because we're recording the podcast, and there's nothing we can do about it right now. So let's continue. And actually, you know what? I want to respond to something. People are like, this lag that's happening, it would be very bad on Stadia. This is, while that's true, the reason we're having this lag is because my upload speed is a problem. My download speed is fine. Everything that's coming in is looking just great, but my upload speed is not as good, and that's what's happening, and that's why we're running into issues. It might also be a computer issue because it looks like my kilobits per second just spiked up to 20,000 for some reason. I have no idea. Anyway, Let's move on. You know, Lloyd made some pretty good points that he was saying there, but what I think that a lot of people are forgetting is next year, Stadia will be free. xCloud you have to pay for. Stadia will be free. Sure, you won't have 4K 60, but it's going to be a free service. All you have to do is buy the games. And when
Right.
you're just buying the games, that takes away so much of the of the competition of it. So if there is a game that's on Stadia and it's not on xCloud, you don't have to invest anything in order to play that game. You just buy that game and you play it. And it's the
Yep.
same thing with well, it's not the same thing with xCloud because xCloud doesn't have a free version, I don't think. So does it?
I don't know. They've talked about a lot of different things, and it's not going to be free because you're going to need the hardware, and you're going to need to have games in your library. The talk is that in the future, as long as you're an Xbox Live member, maybe Ultimate Game Pass, whatever level you have to be, that any game that you have in your personal Xbox will be playable on the cloud, or through the cloud. On the cloud, through the cloud, whatever it is, on or through something. Whether that is the case or not, without some additional charge, we're not sure because it's not launched yet. But you are still going to need to at least have an Xbox Live membership. You're going to need to at least have a piece of hardware, whether it's an Xbox or Microsoft PC, a phone, or an actual Xbox that you have to pay extra for. So it's not entirely clear what you're going to need, but I think an Xbox Live membership is probably guaranteed to be at least one of the things that is going to be a requirement.
And I think there's a lot of people, excuse me, who are looking at Google Stadia and they're saying, what is the direct competition to Google Stadia? And the closest thing that I think that we have is xCloud, because they're both streaming services, but the business models are vastly different. The business model for Google Stadia is we get a cut of the games that are sold on our platform.
Yep.
If you want to have better resolution and just better resolution, you pay for it. But the store or the console is essentially free if you have a controller and a laptop or a computer to hook it up to. Whereas with Xbox, it is a service that you are paying for. And yes, you get games with it. And that is certainly a very compelling way to do it because people like the idea of paying a subscription and then getting a bunch of stuff. Like, look, I pay for Xbox Game Pass on my PC right now. I don't have an Xbox, but I just have a PC. And I've had access to a bunch of games, and it's really awesome. I like that model a lot. I wish that Google were doing that with the Pro subscription, where you get access, like make the Pro subscription a little more money and give us access to a bunch of stuff. Now, I think it's hard for them to do that right now. And the reason it's hard for them to do that right now is because they don't have the library to start with. They are starting from scratch. And if we rewind a few years, we might remember a scrappy little startup where there was currently there are the big guns in the console market, and this little startup Microsoft decided to make a video games console, and everybody laughed at them. Of course, most of us were laughing because of that stupid controller, but a lot of people laughed at them and said, "You're never going to do what you need to do." And now look at them; they're kings in the industry. They're doing very well. I mean, okay, they're not PlayStation right now, but that's because they made some mistakes.
Yep.
I think that people need to. I think that people are just a little too myopic when it comes to what is going to happen in the future.
Yeah. And people have said Stadia is the Netflix of games, and everyone was quick to say no, it isn't the Netflix of games. And then Google came out and said it's not the Netflix of games, and John Justice came on and said we're not the Netflix of games, everybody. Well, Xbox xCloud Game Pass, that is the Netflix of games. You pay a monthly fee, you get access to a whole bunch of games at no additional charge. And if they bake in xCloud into Game Pass Ultimate, you're paying your $15 a month. You get to play those games through the cloud. You get to play them on your Xbox. You get to play them on your PC. I mean, that's going to be a compelling argument for a lot of people out there. And that's also going to ruffle the feathers of like Sony with their streaming service, with Stadia and their streaming service, because this is a huge competitor that has all this content that is essentially free if you're already paying for a membership. So we're really early in the market for game streaming, even though Sony's been doing it forever. We're really early in like modern game streaming, and what Microsoft and what Google does is going to have repercussions for years. They're going to make a decision, and that's gonna alter the path of this new industry that is forming. So it's going to be really interesting, but you can't really compare the two yet. They're different things, even though they kind of do the same thing. They give you the bits through the internet, and you hook up a controller and play that way.
I feel like before we move on, I want to say one more thing, and that is that there are people out there. I mean, I get people constantly coming into my chats and saying, I hope Stadia fails. And I know that there's people out there who are hoping that Stadia does well, and they're going into the Microsoft places and they're saying, oh, I hope xCloud falls on its face. And for me, I don't want either of them to fail. I want them both to do really, really well, because competition makes people do a better job. And I feel like if Microsoft is real competition for Stadia, then Stadia will have to improve. And if Stadia is real competition for Microsoft, then Microsoft is going to have to improve. And that means that we get a better experience in the end, because they are forced to improve in order to keep us as customers. If there's only one streaming service, then we're screwed. We're all screwed, because that means that they can do whatever they want if we want to use it. And they're going to be much more compelling, or they will end up making much more compelling products if they have competition to keep them what's the word I'm looking for? On their toes, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yep, definitely.
All right. Let's move on. Did you get charged today, Lloyd?
I don't know. I haven't checked yet.
I got charged.
I'll have to go do that. I don't have anything hooked up to like email or anything. I know people are getting emails. I don't have any of that, so I got to go check my my credit statement, I guess, to see what happened there.
Well, I got charged, and about 15 other people who all messaged me either on email or on Twitter, and they were like, hey, Bill, I got charged. Did you get charged? Yes, I got charged this morning. I tweeted it out, a little screenshot of my PayPal thing. I was very nervous because I used PayPal to pay for it, and somebody said, oh, you shouldn't have used PayPal because something's, sometimes it doesn't work the right way. And so I've been very nervous about getting charged and having my Founders thing canceled because of the PayPal thing. But I got charged this morning, and there's a quick PSA that I want to get to. But before we do, I'm going to take a quick ad break for the podcast people. We're going to hear from a sponsor. When we come back, I'm going to give you a public service announcement all about your order being on hold. Be right back.
When it comes to space games, nobody compares to Atari.
Excuse me. Have you compared them to Intellivision?
Intellivision?
Sure, they've got great space games, like Intellivision Space Battle.
I didn't know.
All right, so if you didn't know, I've got a public service announcement for you. This comes to us from Reddit. It says, be sure to check your email for your order is on hold email. This is posted by Reddit user, I don't know, Suck Eggs is what their name is. They said, for those of you out there who had expired credit cards or something similar, you should have received an email from Google which says something along the lines of your order is on hold and asks that you update the payment method. I had that because my card expired. Payment came out as soon as I updated, and strangely enough, my delivery date came forward to the 20th. Mine is still the 21st and 20th to 21st, so I don't know when I'm getting mine. You have a week to update before your order will be canceled. Now, I've also had people in our Discord, which you can join over at runjumpstomp.com/Discord. I've had people in the Discord telling me, or not telling me, but they were having a conversation this morning, and I was just kind of eavesdropping and watching. But they were saying that their order got canceled, and they've been on the phone with Google all morning trying to figure out what they can do about it. But their order was canceled, and they're not sure what's going on. So people are starting to get charged for their Founders Edition. So what you should do is make sure that you check whatever email that you signed up with and look and see if you have been charged yet. I paid with PayPal, so I got an instant notification in the middle of the night, and sure enough, I looked, and there it was. I got charged. Lloyd, have you looked yet? You haven't looked, have you? Because you're working. He's working right now, people. He's a professional. But man, when I turned on the stream or posted the thing, people were flooding chat earlier with a whole bunch of, I got charged for this. I got charged. Yes. And there were a lot of people who were very happy to get charged, which is a thing that makes me laugh. I laughed at that. They were so happy and relieved to give their money to a corporation. Thoughts,
Take
Lloyd?
my money, please, Google. Take my money, please. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I'm wondering if I can change my method to PayPal. It's probably too late because I've probably been charged already. Because that would have been the ideal thing, getting an email the day that I get charged, and I wouldn't have to even think about this. I would have just had a nice little present with a little bow wrapped up under the tree, the Stadia tree this morning. But I stupidly used my credit card like some sort of fool.
That's funny. Real quick, we're not going to talk about this, but there's a video, and if you want to check out the video, go to runjumpstomp.com, and this is StadiaCast episode 32, so you can watch the video. It is a very in-depth, super hardcore, geeky deep dive into how RTC allows Google to reduce latency for Stadia overall. I'm not going to get into it because it's way over my pay grade. Lloyd said it was, his eyes started to roll into the back of his head as he got about 15 minutes into it.
It's very dry.
It is very dry. I watched the whole thing. I didn't understand most of it because I'm not an engineer. And the guy was like, and you guys are all software developers, so this should look familiar to you. And I was like, nope, but that's okay. I just wanted to let people know about it because a lot of people are very, very interested. And so now you can check that out. And then finally, the last thing that that I'd like to talk about before we get to crowd play, which is where we respond to everything that you guys have been saying throughout the show. Finally, do you have a Chromecast, Lloyd?
I will in about a week's time.
Okay. I have a Chromecast, and it updated, or at least I think I don't know if it's been there. I don't know when it updated, but it updated because somebody told me about it, and I went into my Google Home app, and on my Google Home app, there was a button to show, oh gosh, how did they phrase it? I'm trying to open it up right now. If I go into edit ambient mode, on the very bottom, it says Stadia controller linking code. Show the code for linking a Stadia controller. So I hit show, and now on my Chromecast on the TV in the other room, it constantly has up at the top, like up, down, left, right, or what, I don't know what it is.
Right.
So maybe that means that my Chromecast firmware has been updated and is ready for Stadia. I will, of course, let you guys know as soon as my Stadia hardware gets here. I am very, very excited for it, and we're dropping more frames again. Damn it, Spectrum. Anything to add before we move on to crowd play?
No, that's really good to hear. When I heard that Chromecasts would need an update for Stadia, I was just like, what? It was so confusing to me. The fact that it is getting that update prior to launch is a really good thing.
All right. So in the crowd play section, we respond to all of the things that you guys say to us, either on our YouTube channels or live in the chat. We respond to, chat's flying by pretty fast. We got over 300 people here. So we'll respond to the super chats first. But we respond to everything that you guys say and tell you our thoughts about it. So let's get started. Do you want to read this question from Julian Victorian in the show notes?
Sure. A question I had around Stadia Pro members was, if you were to purchase a game that then becomes a free game, would you be compensated in any way, or are the free games only going to be brand new, as in made available that week, to mitigate this from happening? And that's from Julian. So that's a great question, Julian. And I would say look at what Xbox and PlayStation have done. They have games with gold on the Xbox side. They have PlayStation Plus games on the PlayStation side. And if you want to know what PlayStation Plus game is going to be next, just ask me what game I just bought, and that will be next month's PlayStation Plus game. And that happens all the time. And I don't think there's going to be any sort of compensation on Stadia. It's just going to be a nice gift to the people that don't already own the game. And if you do own the game, you'll have more people to play with, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Lloyd handled it. I don't need to say anything else. All right, we got a whole bunch of super chats that came in, and we already talked about that message from Nick Zello. So let's start responding to these. And I got it on the wrong. Oh, you know what I can do? Here's what I can do. Now I can see it. So Joel Thompson, thank you very much for the $2 super chat earlier, and then became a supporter. And then Fabian Winkler became a supporter. We also had Spud as a supporter, and Andre, which we already thanked those guys. Dirk, thank you for the $2 or €2 super chat. I wish it was all in dollars, because it would just make it easier for my brain, because people are like, they got all these different symbols and I don't know what they mean sometimes. Brendan Clark says 2 days. Matt welcomed you back. Sorry, I scrolled up too far. I didn't realize that we had already hit these. All right, so Paul McClelland just became a member as well. They became a supporter. Lucas Van Anger became a supporter. Jason Curtis became a supporter. Oh my God, you guys are crazy. Joel Thompson, who was already a supporter, upgraded to hero. So there's actually 3 tiers of being supporters here on YouTube, and it's supporter, hero, and then superhero. So upgraded to hero. Thank you very much. All right. Fabian Winkler says the Whiteboard Adventures live on Stadia Cast. Let me ask you a question, Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
What's on your whiteboard for Stadia? Like, we talk about John Justice's whiteboard all the time. What's on your whiteboard?
Try to be in the city when your Stadia package gets delivered. That's number 1 on my whiteboard. But number 2 would be start regular streams with fans playing Stadia games. I'm really looking forward to doing that. I stream. Well, I don't stream as much this last couple months, just because my life has just been like crazy. But being able to stream PC games at super high resolution or super high graphic fidelity, I can't do that on my PC right now. I don't have enough GPU and enough CPU. But being able to do it with Stadia just by ingesting a web browser is going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to do that.
What game are you going to play first?
That is a really great question. I've had the answer to that a few times, and then those games have gone and been delayed. I think it'll probably be Destiny, just because that's the freebie. But I'm thinking Red Dead 2 will probably be a game that I pick up close to launch, just because I've always wanted to play it, and I've been waiting for a good reason to do it. And playing it on Stadia will be a really great reason to do it.
And this is my question to all of you who are watching or right now, or listening after the fact, or watching after the fact. What game is going to be the game that you play first? Now, I'm going to be streaming as soon as I get home on Tuesday, if I have gotten my code by then. And I'm going to be streaming Destiny 2. That's not the game that I'm most excited for. The game that I'm most excited for is Guilt, but I don't think I want to stream that game, because that is a game that is mostly, I feel like, story-based. And so it's not a very good game to stream unless it's been out for a while and people have already seen it, and then they can come in without fear of being spoiled. So Destiny 2 is going to be the thing that I start with before anything else. And I'm really looking forward to it. Have you played that before, Lloyd?
No.
Okay, you haven't played it. Okay, so I haven't played it either. So it's a brand new game to me, and that's one of the things that I'm very much looking forward to. Eric Dvorsky just became a superhero. Thank you very much, Eric. You guys are just crazy. Lucas Van Anger says John is the old PBS pledge drives. Love it. Oh, join is like the old PBS pledge. I thought he was talking about John Justice. I was very confused. Yeah, you can support us. So for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, do you have PBS in Canada?
We do.
Oh, okay. So PBS is public broadcasting system. Station or system?
System. I think.
I
don't know.
It doesn't really matter. It's PBS. It's public access TV, basically, or
public broadcasting service.
Service. Okay, and it's paid for by tax dollars. Sesame Street used to be PBS until HBO bought them. Now, when once a month, I think that what they would do is they would have these pledge drives where they would say, "We need your help in order to keep going," and people would call in and they would have phone banks, and it was hilarious, and it was always irritating because they would interrupt the TV shows all the time to do that. But we're not trying to do that. We're just responding to what people are saying. Simba became a supporter. Thank you, Simba. John Eisenmenger. I'm sorry, John. I've butchered your name. He says, thanks, guys. 2 days to playtime. And then they became a supporter as well. Frank became a hero. Thank you very much for that. Sukotronics sent in €1. Eric says, as much as I dislike the hate on Stadia, the amount of viewers on its negative views is the best thing for the brand awareness. The truth always wins. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, all publicity is good publicity when you're trying to launch a product. So if you're getting a lot of hate and you're getting a lot of love, and if there's more hate than love, eventually, if you prove the haters wrong, you're gonna get a net positive in that battle. So yeah, I think it's good. I mean, if people are talking about Stadia, it's at least on the public's mind, which is a good thing for Google.
I personally think that, and I've said this on the show before, I think that a lot of the people, not everybody, some people, and there are real concerns that people have about Stadia, and they are valid concerns. And we've talked about them before on the show. But a lot of people who are making these videos and posting these articles are doing so because negativity gets clicks. And so they post these things and they say these things so that people will click on their stuff. And then people read that and they don't realize that these people are doing it for clicks. So then they start parroting everything that they're saying about it. If you look at the launch lineup for the Nintendo Switch, I mean, how many games did that launch with, Lloyd? 3?
For the Switch, I think it was like 8, but most of them are all digital games.
Right, and there were only 3 physical games.
Yep.
And people were they were saying it was guaranteed to fail because Nintendo had failed so bad with the Wii U, and I'm the first to admit Nintendo failed big time with the Wii U. But the Switch has sold absolutely like gangbusters. It is like it was the #1 selling console every single month this year. The #1 every single month this year, according to the NPD Group. Now, some people will say, and I agree with these people, that of course it was. The PlayStation and the Xbox are at the end of their life cycle. We're getting new versions of that next year. People aren't going to be going out and buying PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones. So of course the Switch is going to be the best selling. But not only is it the best selling, but it's selling a lot. Like, not only is it selling better than the others, but it's selling a lot of units. And it goes to show you that the people who always are negative about stuff, sure, they get a lot of clicks, but they're going to be proven wrong in the end. Maybe I'll be proven wrong in the end. I think Stadia and xCloud, I think that is the future of gaming, without a doubt. I 100% believe that streaming games is the future of gaming, and somebody has to do it first, and Google decided to do it first. And I think that that's going to be a huge advantage for them later on, at least in my opinion. Thoughts, Lloyd?
No, I agree with you. I've said that, like, ever since Netflix proved that internet TV is going to be better than TV. For many people out there, it's going to be more convenient, it's going to be more accessible, it's going to be something that they want to use instead of the old broadcast television. I just been waiting for other markets to change, and game streaming I knew eventually was going to be the way that people are going to play games. Whether it's Stadia right now is going to be that way, or if it's going to be in 10 years from now, once everybody has crazy fast internet to every device that they own. It's inevitable. People aren't going to want to buy $600 or $500 or $400 or $300 boxes to put under their TVs if they could just fire up a web browser and play the game with the controller that's connected through Wi-Fi.
And I do want to say that there are going to be people out there who want to have these expensive boxes under their TVs, because I do think that for the most part, that will be a technically superior experience. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be enough of a better experience that that most people are going to care. Lloyd is pointing at stuff behind him.
All the games, people still want to collect those things, and there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to want to switch to streaming because they want to have these little boxes behind them or on a shelf somewhere. And I get that. I'm a collector as well, but I'm willing to stop my collecting of some things if it means that it's way more convenient for me to play a game. If I can play it on my phone, on my laptop, on my TV, that's going to be way more convenient for me.
And I agree. Convenience is the thing that Google needs to make sure that they sell here. Now, when they first did their first announcement, they did not focus on that. But then when they did their most recent Connect, they did like this 2-minute thing. What is Stadia? And Lloyd and I were both in agreement that that is what they should have led with, because they led with that convenience. No need for buying anything. You just play the games. And I think that that's a fantastic way to do it. All right. Thank you to Pip 2010 _3 and Kaz for their for their super chats. Brendan Clark is trying to let us know that we were having lag. We're aware. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Frank Simser says, launch hype. Glad to have you back, Lloyd. We're on to you, John Justice. So there are some that think that you guys are you're a deep fake of John Justice, and he's been here the whole time. I gotta say, your ability to imitate like other people's voices or change your voice that much is pretty impressive.
It's all this Go. I mean, it's not this Go XLR that's right beside me that's allowing that to happen.
That's right. Superhero Lloyd Anderson.
It doesn't roll off the tongue the same way.
It doesn't. Jack says, I'm curious what Sony is going to do. What do you think Sony is going to do, Lloyd? Do you think that they recently lowered the price of
Game Pass
Now?
or whatever, or PlayStation Now. That's right.
PS Now. They lowered the price of that.
It was always way too expensive. It was like $20 a month unless you got a deal. I remember buying a year for $99 at one point, mainly just for the kids to play like Lego games and things like that. I don't know what they can do. They dropped the price to $10 a month. They might have to bake it in with PlayStation Plus, so you get some free streams every month or something. Like they need to do something, because they've been around for the longest and everybody neglects to talk about Sony. It's just like they're over in the corner saying, hey guys, I'm over here too, can someone come talk to me? And everyone's like, yeah, whatever. Xbox, how's XCloud? Google, how's Stadia? And they keep getting forgotten. So they have their work cut out for them if this is something that they really want to do as kind of the future of the PlayStation brand.
Eric asks, what's on my whiteboard on our whiteboard for the launch day stream? We kind of already went over that. I'm going to be playing Destiny 2, and Lloyd, you said you're going to be playing Destiny 2 when you are able to play that as well, right?
Correct. That'll definitely be the first game I'm going to try.
Earlier, we asked what you guys were going to be playing. What was your first games that you were going to play? And Pip 2010 says Destiny is going to be the game that they're going to use to test the service. Jack also says Destiny 2. Thank you very much for those super chats, gentlemen. Florian became a supporter. Thank you, Florian. Elijah says, do you think the base will have ads, Netflix style, ever? So that's really two questions. Let's tackle the first one first, and then we'll get to that second one. Do you think that Stadia Base is going to have ads at some point?
I don't know. Like we've been chatting about this on the show for a while, and if you have a free to play game and you have Stadia Base, you're essentially not paying any money for the game and you're not paying any money for the service. I don't see how that's going to happen unless there is ads, an ad supported method where Google can generate some revenue that way. John, during your interview said, no, we don't have any plans right now, which doesn't mean that they don't have plans for the future, of course. I just can't see how free to play games are going to work on this service where there's $0 being spent by the bulk of the people. So I do think in the future that there will be ads, but that's just me going by what Google has done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the one way that they can combat that is by limiting the free games to pro subscribers. Do you how do you feel about that? Do you think that that's a good solution?
I think it's probably the only working solution at launch, at least for Google. Like, can you just imagine like Google Base goes free and you get 5 million people try to fire up like Fortnite and they just run out of blades? Like, there's going to be way more players than Google. Even Google has hardware if it's free. So it's going to be interesting, man. There's a reason why they haven't started talking about free to play games yet. They know it's going to be something that they have to do, but they have to do it right, and they don't want to have the full fury of the internet coming up against them as well if they make the wrong decision.
And then the second part of the I want to respond real quick. I think that that's perfectly acceptable for them to limit the free to play games to being only for pro players, because most free to play games are online multiplayer games. Most of them are.
Mm-hmm.
I think 90%. I'm having trouble thinking of a free to play game on a console that is not an online, like an online kind of game, and I'm struggling to come up with one. I'm sure the chat will figure one out. So if I want to play those games, for the most part, I do have to subscribe to like either PSN or Xbox. However, there are exceptions to the rule. I think Fortnite, you can play on Nintendo Switch online without paying for Nintendo Switch online. Like, I think that they don't require you to do that. So I don't know. There seems to be precedent there, but then there's always exceptions to that precedent.
Yep.
The second part of the question was Netflix style ever. Do we think that that Stadia will have a subscription model where you get access to a bunch of games? I think at some point in the future, when they have a large pool of games, especially the SGE games, the Stadia games and entertainment games, I think that's much more likely to happen. Lloyd, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that probably sometime next year, they're going to have just a base set of games that are going to come and playable if you have your pro subscription. So you during pro, you'll get one game added to your library a month or 2 months or whatever that cadence is going to be. But there also will be a bunch of games that is just free to play if you are a pro level user. That's just kind of a no brainer for me. Give people content if you're paying $10 a month.
And finally, before we end the podcast, I want to thank Michael Neistat for their super chat. We really appreciate you guys. All right, are you ready to get out of here, Lloyd, or at least finish up the podcast part of the show?
Yeah,
all
definitely,
right.
Bill.
Follow the show on Twitter at StadiaCast. You can follow me at Run Jump Stomp, and you can follow Lloyd at DASME. That's DASME. We both have a bunch of other shows, and make sure that you use the hashtag StadiaCast so that we can easily find your tweets. Join the StadiaCast Discord over at runjumpstomp.com/Discord. And while you're already joining Discords, join Lloyd's Discord over at rezd.tv/Discords. That's rezd.tv/Discord. The music that you're about to hear is Subterranean Kamikaze by Zircon. You can check out their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. Bye, Lloyd.
Have a good one, everybody.
All right, we are back. Let me stop recording. Save. So sorry about the dropped frames, everybody. There's nothing that we can really do about it right now. But thank you all for the insane support. I don't even know how many new members that we have today, and of course all of the super chats. You guys are fantastic. Was there anything in chat that you noticed, Lloyd, that you want to talk about?
Not really. I've been kind of answering in line, waiting for us to chat about the super chats after the fact. It seems like a lot of people are getting charged. Some people are having credit card issues, which happens with every product launch. There's a certain level of fraud that happens, and credit card companies get crazy when a lot of charges are coming from one company to their members. So that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure a quick call to customer service will get all that stuff sorted out for you folks.
Right, and Goblin Lord says, I do think limiting free-to-play limiting to subscribers is a possibility. I think it makes a lot of sense. Because Lloyd has a really good point. It could be just insanity if everybody can just start connecting.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Try to keep it nice in the chat room, folks.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I have Lloyd is way nicer than I am when it comes to banning people. I have no problem at all kicking you out of here permanently. So make sure that you're always nice every single time.
I'm the Canadian. That's weird. You'd think it would be the Canadian that would have those rules.
Well, I'm the teacher, so
there you go.
I'm
Trump's
a little more
Canadian.
Yeah.
So next week, everyone should start receiving their systems over the next few days. I will not be streaming at all next week because I'm going to be in Tucson, Arizona, which is going to be warm except for the fact that it's going to be raining. But if you're doing any live streams, I'm going to try my best to jump in and go into the chat room and chat with you a little bit, Bill.
I'm planning on streaming on Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, both of those days. So I would love it if everybody could be here for that. That would be awesome. I can't believe that it's here already. Yeah. I'm very, very excited for this. I think that this is going to be huge. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the future, and this is kind of like we're all astronauts taking the first step off the lunar lander onto the moon. It's going to be interesting to see kind of where the industry goes over the next 5 years and how much better everyone's gameplay is going to get as everybody's internet gets upgraded and things get faster and more edge nodes get rolled out by Google to deal with all of the slow service in certain areas. They know that maybe Winnipeg has too many Stadia users, so they have to create an edge node there. It's going to be, my house, you could put one down the street. There's a house for sale, like just down the street, Google, if you want to buy that up and put some servers there. I'd be happy to watch over it for you. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I'm really excited about the future, and being here right from the start is going to be pretty fun.
Matt did a super chat and they said, I'm looking forward to whenever the first big appealing PC crossplay game comes. I was hoping Borderlands 2 would do it, or Destiny 2.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason? Do you think it's what do you think is the reason that these games are not cross-play? Because I know that it's not Sony anymore, because Sony specifically said, all right, you guys can do cross-play if you want. Or do you think it's just they're not ready yet because Sony just said cross-play was okay?
I think that's probably what it is. Like when Destiny 2 first came out, there was no cross-play support. So you'd have Xbox players playing with Xbox, PlayStation players playing with PlayStation. The industry's moved since then, but Destiny 2's been out for quite some time, so it doesn't surprise me.
John Manus says, what do you think about people that got their delivery dates changed? Mine went from 2021 to 26-27. Mine went from 2021 to 21-22. What do I think about that? I think I don't know. What are you going to do, man? You can't worry about it. You're going to get your code and you're going to be able to play. And in a month, you're not going to care that it was a couple of days late. That's how I feel. What do you think, Lloyd?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I mean, they're trying to deliver products to people in so many different countries all at the same time. It's going to take a little bit of time to get everybody their product, but I love the fact that they are going to be sending you out your code so you can play immediately on your browser. You don't have to wait for your controller to come in. I'm curious to see how that's going to work, but I'm happy that is an option.
What controller are you going to use? I'm going to use an Xbox controller.
Initially, I'm probably just going to use keyboard and mouse until I get my Stadia controller. Although I do have a bunch of controllers with me. I could use my 8BitDo one. I'm sure there's other ones that I can use. Pretty much anything you can hook up through USB would be good enough, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Every time you hold that up, you've got that little grip on it. What have you been playing on there?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I picked this up. Because of what is it? Apple Arcade. And then I realized that the 8BitDo doesn't support MFI yet. And then I found out that there's a way to hook it up through the there's a different way to accessibility. So I bought this and then I went on my trip. So I haven't had a chance to even play it. I canceled my Apple Arcade subscription. When I get a little bit more time, I'm definitely going to be reactivating that. And then there's a bunch of Apple Arcade games I want to play with a controller.
So I've been playing Apple Arcade games just a little bit. And I've been using this controller. Oh, you can't see it because I had to. We were getting so much lag that I shut it off.
Yeah, I can't see it until the YouTube video updates. Oh, you got that little mini thing.
Yeah, it's the 8BitDo Lite. It has 3 D-pads on the damn thing. It's super portable, which is great. It's not the best controller, but it works good for Apple Arcade. So I was like, for $25, I gotta try it out.
Sure. Yeah, that's crazy. That thing is just so weird looking. I don't understand why there's like 4 D-pads on it instead of analog sticks, but I guess they saw a need for something and they came out with it.
I think that the idea is they wanted to make it as flat as possible so you can easily like either pocket it or keep it in something without worrying about the sticks getting damaged.
Right.
And for most games, it's decent. It'll work, but for games that are like a 3D style game, you don't want to play that way.
It looks like it weighs about the same amount as like a pack of gum. Like it looks like it's super light and empty, and I don't know. It's just a weird controller.
I feel like the build quality of this thing is really good, even though using it is not a great experience, especially if you're trying to use it with any kind of game that uses the joysticks a lot. But
Right.
if you're playing a 2D style game, this is fantastic. Is it as good as something else? No, but it's small and light and goes in your backpack easily, in my opinion.
Right.
Goblin Lord says, that is the weirdest controller I have ever seen.
It is. I agree.
Bill, care to elaborate on why you won't post on review units? Why I won't post on review units? What does that mean? I need more information, Soji. I don't understand. Do you understand
maybe why we're not talking about how some of the big sites got their review units and the more hobby sites like ours didn't, and that's the way business goes.
Yeah.
The places that are going to get all the hits are going to get the review units. That's why you got like the CNETs and the joysticks and the Kind of Funnies and all those huge places got their review units. We would have loved to get a couple review units here, but that wasn't in the cards, and they only came out a few days before launch anyway, so it's not like it's the end of the world.
And think of it this way. Our audience here are pretty well versed in what Stadia is. Google doesn't need to convince you guys to try it out. You guys are already decided, yeah, this is for me. So for Google to send us review units, it means that they don't have a review unit to send to somebody else who has a much larger audience who is not already interested in Stadia. So that's why they're not going to send it to us. I completely understand why. Would I have been very happy to receive a review unit of Stadia? Without a doubt. But I understand why they didn't. Now, when we do get our stuff, I'm of course going to do a video where I open up the box and talk about it and all that stuff. And I'm sure, Lloyd, are you going to do something like that?
Yeah, it's going to be late though, but
yeah, mine too.
Definitely will be doing that.
Right. So you can look forward to that from us, but we can't do it because we haven't gotten them, if that makes sense. Kaz sent in a super chat. They said, are you planning to play with viewers when playing Destiny 2 at launch down the road? Would be cool to run a strike and try to raid with you guys. Well, first off, I don't know anything about Destiny. I know it's a multiplayer game, but I'm going to be doing solo stuff at first because I got to learn how to play. So we'll see what happens. I'm always willing to play with people, but I got to learn how to play the game first. You know what I hate more than anything else is being carried through a game by somebody who's awesome at something or has the best gear. And that happened to me a lot with guildies in World of Warcraft in the past, where they would have more time than I would, so they'd be like super powerful because they have all this gear, and then I'd be just like running behind them, looting stuff, and that's just not fun. So, I'm sure that we'll have a chance to play together, especially with the crowd play features.
For sure, yeah. I'm definitely excited to play with folks. We'll start a StadiaCast clan. We'll get all that going. That might take a little bit of time, but there's definitely going to be that. Eric Dvorsky says StadiaCast isn't signed up as press. You need to sign up first before they send you. We are signed up as press. We have press contacts. We get the press releases and things like that. So we've done all that we had to. It's just this is a conscious effort that Google made to send it out to the big units, and it makes sense. Just as we didn't get any Pixel phone review units, I would have loved one of those as well to be able to play Stadia on a phone. We're just not big enough, and that's perfectly fine. I've been doing video game podcasts for like 13 years now, and it's getting the big companies to notice you is really tough.
Absolutely. I get free games for my Switch all the time from very small companies who want me to talk about their stuff, but Nintendo, they just ignore me. Square Enix, they ignore me. Oh, that's not true. I sent an email to ask for something for Square Enix, and they responded and said, sorry, we can't fulfill your code request at this time. And I was like, hey, thanks for even getting back to me, because most of the time when it's the big companies, they just ignore you because they just have so many people sending them stuff all the time. They can't possibly reply to everybody.
Yep, exactly.
Fabian Winkler says, I have never played Destiny either. We could team up. We could, but I'm going to play solo at first because I got to learn it.
Did you play Destiny 1?
No.
Oh, I played a fair bit of Destiny 1. I really enjoyed that. And I never picked up 2 just because I was playing less on the PlayStation at that point. So I'm really looking forward to jumping in and I don't know, getting back into the Destiny groove a little bit.
Stadia Joe says the review embargo lifts tomorrow. Any predictions? I predict that a fair number of people, I could be wrong, I'm just guessing, and keep in mind I haven't played it, so I don't know how well it works, but a fair number of people who have said that Stadia is doomed, I predict that a fair number of them will say, I was wrong, it works really well. Yep. And they'll have a thumbnail where they're like going like this, or like they're holding up their controller and they're like, that kind of thing. And Lloyd can't see what I'm doing, but he knows what I'm doing because exactly. They're going to do that, and they're going to get a lot of more hits. And this is something that they planned on doing the whole time because that gets clicks. They know what gets clicks. Lloyd and I don't play that game. We don't play the game of clickbaity stuff because we know that at the end of the day, that doesn't help you build a good audience. And that's what Lloyd and I are much more interested in, is building a good audience and a good community rather than raking in the cash. Although, hey, the cash that you guys have been sending in is very nice, and we appreciate it. And speaking of which, thank you to Eric Violette for their super chat.
It's cool. What's this? Does that frustrate you at all? The fact they don't see you as a big enough channel, the fact that John just interviewed twice seems like more of an awesome thing. No, it doesn't upset me that other people are getting stuff that we don't get. It doesn't even register for me. They have a plan for their launch, and they're going to do what they want to at launch. As I said, it would have been really nice if we would have received our review units. We would have loved to have been able to jump in and talk to you guys prior to launch, but we'll talk to you just after launch, and that'll be just as good.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice that has not been requested, and that's just what I'm going to do. So too bad if you don't want to hear it. If you are constantly comparing yourself to other people, there's always going to be somebody out there that is doing better than you, and you will go nuts. You just have to compare yourself to how you were doing yesterday, and you're going to feel much better about that at the end of the day. At least that's my advice, not to Lloyd, because I know that Lloyd already understands this, but to anybody out there who is thinking of becoming a content creator like Lloyd and I, you can't compare. This is an oldie but a goodie. You can't compare somebody else's book 4 to your chapter 1.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good quote. I like that one. And it's entirely true. Like, I'm not going to be upset that other people got an opportunity to do something. I mean, you just got to work hard, and hopefully you get that opportunity in the future.
Yeah. And with that, Lloyd, are you all set? Is anything else you want to add? It seems like chat's starting to slow down.
Yeah, chat's slowing down. People are happy that they're getting charged. Some people aren't. Yeah, we had a big launch at work, and we saw just a flood of payments that happened. And we had one particular card company that just started rejecting every payment because they thought it was a fraudulent thing. All this stuff will be cleared up, and that's the reason why Google charges you prior to them shipping it out. So yeah, it's going to be it'll all work out, folks. If your card was declined, but you have room on it, just call Google and have them retry it, or set up for PayPal and hook your credit card up through PayPal, and hopefully that'll work for you.
Right. And the guy who said that his got declined, he said as soon as he changed it to the other credit card, the payment went through instantaneously. So just make sure you check your stuff out. All right.
Definitely.
Well, I think I'm out of here. Lloyd, thanks for hanging out. It was good to see you again. I missed you for those last 2 weeks.
It was nice, and hopefully I won't miss any shows. This month has been like travel hell and work hell and just hell. Not that work is bad, but just like so much stuff that was happening. So next week I'm going to be in Tucson for a bunch of days. So I'll be not playing Stadia, except maybe if I can hook up through I could probably do it keyboard and mouse in the hotel. That might actually work if I get my code. And then we'll continue on with Stadia Cast on Sundays, and I'm looking forward to doing some streams as well.
All right. See you later, everybody. Thanks again.
Later, everybody.